Hi guys, I am actually, for this assignment, going to talk about how social media has really helped change the sports industry. And it can kind of go both ways. First, mostly it's a good thing. And so I'll talk about that first. As you can see, I'm a big Washington Capitals fan, and they literally 5 minutes ago won in overtime to the Detroit Red Wings, so I'm going to kind of focus on that as my example. But overall, social media has really changed how sports goes about reporting things. Um, they're tweeting, they're on Facebook, they're on all the different social media sites now. The Washington Capitals even just got a Snapchat account. I haven't actually signed up for it yet because I'm kind of weird with my Snapchat, but if I do sign up, I'll have to let you guys know exactly what they do there. But for the most part, they do a lot of reporting on social media. They post articles, they post score updates, they post lots of random things. And so, like, here's the Washington Capitals Facebook page. You can see they're building their brand. They've got all the different things connected to them, all the different brands that go with them. The Verizon Center is where they play. Kettler is their practice arena. Monumental Network is their new media company that posts all the videos and articles and things. And so they really promote their brand on their Facebook page. And if you scroll down, you can see even on Facebook they're posting like Ovechkin scored the game-winning goal, and so they're even posting that. For the most part on here, they only post something uh, if there's an important update, if they haven't posted in a while during a game. But like they don't necessarily post every time someone scores because that's not really how Facebook was designed. And so usually they'll post at the end of the periods just to give you an update. And obviously at the end of the game. And you can see they really have started using the Facebook hashtags so you know which game they're talking about. And this is especially true if there's more than one game going on at the same time, if they have games back to back days in a row. So like say they played, if they had played yesterday, I don't remember off the top of my head if they did. But like if they had played yesterday and we were still talking about that game and then this game started, it would make it really easy. You could use the hashtag caps wings for this game and hashtag caps whatever team they played yesterday if you were still talking about yesterday's game. And so that makes it really helpful to sort things out. And I think the Capitals do an excellent job of using hashtags. I personally get annoyed when every other word in an update is a hashtag, or if you post something and then have like 12 hashtags at the end, it just seems excessive to me and not really how hashtags should be used. But this is a very effective way to use it. And so, like, that's the Washington Capitals. Another good example of a Facebook hockey page that really uses social media well is the Iowa State Cyclones. They're not a huge hockey team, so they don't have a ton of people following them. They have 30 or 3,000 likes on Facebook, which is a decent amount. But they post updates throughout the games as well. And so you can see last night, you can see a game is just getting ready to start for them today. So they'll be posting updates about that. But like you can see last night they lost, and they were posting during the game all about what was going on, kind of giving the rundown. And they also post articles like the player of the week, which the coach chooses, um, and other various articles about Cyclone hockey. And so again, they do a very good job of using Facebook to help broadcast their message to people who can't make it to the game. And like because the Iowa State team's so small, they're not on TV. It's really hard to keep track of them unless you live in the city that they're playing in. And so Facebook, and they also use Twitter, is a very good way of getting real-time updates during the game instead of having to wait until the newspaper is posted the next day. And so that's kind of the overview of Facebook. Twitter is also a very, very good way to follow sports teams. And this is really where I see social media helping sports teams. You can follow the game. If you're someone like me, I actually just got cable back about a month ago. And so for the last year, I didn't have cable. So I had no way to watch the Capitals play unless I bootlegged it off of the internet somewhere. And so for me, I would always have their Twitter account open. I'd always have Twitter open, watching the real-time updates on the game. They post when someone scores. For Twitter, because Twitter you can post a lot more and it doesn't get obnoxious. They post when somebody scores, at the end of the period, right when the game starts. They post a lot of article updates, post-game interviews, pre-game interviews. They post all sorts of things all throughout the time while they're playing. And so, again, you can see Ovi scored, and they again use the hashtag so you know exactly which game they're talking about. And it makes it really easy. If you click the hashtag, you can see all the different fans talking about it, and it really gets you involved in a conversation instead of just sitting and statically watching a game, or, I mean, sitting in front of your television. Unless you have friends over, you're just sitting there watching. Whereas this way, it's like all these people are in your living room with you while you're watching the game. So even if you do have cable and are watching, I mean, this still has an advantage because you can talk to people. Like when Ovi made the overtime play, everybody's all excited. Or if somebody has a really bad call, you can go and everybody will be complaining about it. And so that's really how Twitter's taken off. You can also get, this is my favorite Capitals blog, and they do an excellent job. They live tweet the game as well, but they do more than just post score updates. They post, again, like if they're complaining about a call, they post silly things that they notice. And so you can see here they were complaining about a call. And so they do a very good job. They don't use hashtags as much. I mean, they do, but they're not as consistent necessarily as the Capitals Twitter. If I go back to that, the Capitals Twitter uses the same type of caps, whatever team they're playing, and so that's a very consistent hashtag. Whereas Russian Machine Never Breaks, I mean, they use hashtags, just not any consistent one. And so again, you can see they do more silly updates, which is actually makes the game a lot of fun to watch, even if all you're doing is following it on Twitter. And something to kind of go with that, they also have an Instagram account. And Instagram is, I am still not entirely sure how I feel about Instagram and sports teams. It's nice, but to me, Instagram is a more personal thing because you always have to post pictures. And finding creative ways to promote a hockey team with pictures, I mean, as you can see, you get a lot of pictures of ice or like them getting on a plane. And to me, it's not as effective marketing, but they are using it, so that's always good too. And so it's one of those things you just have to find the right kind of balance. And so that's really the only downfall I can see to sports using social media more is sometimes if you are watching a Twitter feed while watching the game, you might end up with a little bit of a delay on the screen. So all of a sudden you'll look down and somebody will have posted that somebody scored and you're like, wait, that didn't happen yet. And then a minute or so later it does happen. And so that doesn't happen a lot, but every once in a while I've had it happen where I'll be watching the game and I find out what happened before it's actually on my screen. And so that's really the only downfall I can see. And then you get more generic accounts. This is the NHL's Twitter, and you can see they don't post, obviously they can't post as many updates as, say, the Capitals Twitter feed because there's 36 NHL teams that they would have to tweet for, and they would be tweeting every 5 seconds all day if that were the case. But you can see, like, if something is really exciting, like Ovechkin scoring in overtime. They'll tweet that. They do some package stuff, like here's NHL players talking about the Super Bowl this afternoon. And so they do more generic, they have to keep it generic about all of the teams. So their updates are less what's going on immediately and more news stories, but it's still nice to have because you don't always go to NHL.com, so you're not always going to see these stories. So this is really how they get the word out without you having to check their website all the time. And so that is my overall view of how social media has really changed sports for the better. I know I mostly talked about hockey. I'm not a huge sports fan, but even just as hockey, I know all of this pertains to other sporting events as well. I do follow a couple football teams and a baseball team on Twitter as well, and they do a lot of the same things during the game. And I mean, even my hockey Twitter feeds will start talking about football games or other games that are going on when there's no hockey on. So I'm sure this afternoon I'll hear a lot about the Super Bowl from those teams because there's no games this afternoon during the Super Bowl. And so it helps get the word out a lot better than having to constantly go to the NHL page and look at what's going on.